Hello and welcome back to the Frozen Lake Zoo, where our animals are getting sick and hungry. Or all of you sick now. You know, like one of them was sick and now they're all sick. Perfect. The vet's taking all of them away though, so that's fine. And now we're just gonna take care of this place and finish building it, more or less. In hopefully the next episode or the next 2 episodes. Who knows how long this is gonna take? Probably depends on, you know, how many plants I want to have all over the place. Which, knowing myself, is going to be a lot of plants. So, you know. Reindeer is about to have offspring. See, it's the good old you can't go inside that building thing again. I hate that. I just want to go in to place screens, thank you. And bins. People are losing trash everywhere. Eventually, here we're gonna design the interior afterwards. For now I'm just gonna try to get this place to look decent. Okay, plant settings. Asia, Europe, North America, Tundra and Taiga. Gives us a lot of plants, but I'm gonna stick to anything that's gardening pretty much. Because as with the previous area, I sort of don't want to have too many, you know, big trees. I just want to have a lot of greenery. And thankfully the greenery section is here. I mean, the deer love flowers, so everyone else should too. What are you doing? Running for his life. Does he think I'm going to fire him if he doesn't pick up that deer at top speed or something? Oh well. Reindeer. Reindeer are a type of deer somewhere. That is actually important because we have to put on contraceptives. It takes 5 years to mature. That's a lot actually. You know, for sheep. I didn't think that it would take 5 years. For the game to acknowledge them as like adults that can have offspring. Because that's what the whole becoming an adult thing is about in Planet Zoo, right? You can't get pregnant before that. It's also how long you have to keep them around, so I suppose it's not optimal. Yeah, the vet's already gotten her. Don't worry, game. So I'm doing these little flower greenery aisles, like here. Sometimes it's just gonna be like 2 or 3 flowers together. And then in other areas it's gonna be larger bits, and you know, then we're just gonna fade it out with a lot of ground coverage. I'm trying not to overdo it, but I know that I am going to, so just a warning. You can totally build this with less flowers and it's still gonna look good. Just, you know, I'm obsessed with using flowers in this game apparently. So yeah, that's usually what happens here. I just place down 100 trees and 100 flowers, and then at some point I've got what might be an actual habitat that I agree with. Hey, look at that. Playing with the food, are we? Good thing you're not human kids or else someone would complain. Oh, but look at the baby one. It's really, really cute. Yes, you. Little one. Hello. Pretty. So yeah, all I do for plants is these little tile areas sort of around trees or around anywhere where I want to place them. I don't really have too much of a system for it. Even if it might look like it sometimes, I just try to... Well, it's not really organic placement either, is it? It's just like... I just pop them wherever I think they might work. In shapes that hopefully aren't completely, you know, even, but... whatever. And then that's it for how I plan my placement of plants, really. We're gonna have a lot of stuff around here once again because this is the visitor area and I feel like visitors would love to see a lot of plants, so this clever zookeepers would put a lot of plants in front of them. But they can't complain about the animals not having pretty habitats. You know, zoos heavily rely on people talking about them and thinking that they look great or that they're very good for the animal. A lot of people won't go into a zoo that's not considered to be good for animal conservation or like giving the animals realistic habitats or whatever. I was clicking this thing, which of course it's important, but you know, it has a large effects on popularity. So going by that, we also have to make sure that people think that our animals are the happiest creatures in the world, which they are, but people can't see their stat bars, right? So gotta make sure that people know that even without stats. All of these flowers here are sort of going to prevent the animals from actually walking up to the people. That's for the safety of the animals, not the safety of the people. Imagine someone trying to steal a deer or something. Just like, oh, you're cute, you're mine now. Some sort of entitled kid. Mom, I want that deer. And the mom goes up to the zookeeper like, my son would like to have that deer over there. Hand it out to me now. Believe me, I've seen a lot of entitled people. Not entitled parents and entitled children in any combination. They're not good to work with. Never. Ever. And this is like a not so serious example, but I was out in public and there was a mother with her 3 children. And the children, like she was getting them ice cream. And the children were discussing how much money they were allowed to spend on ice cream. And one of them wanted to have like the most expensive ice cream ever. And then they just... She essentially just annoyed the mom until she was like, yeah, just take the money I've got left over and buy ice cream. You know, it's not an entitled mom, it's just a case of spoiled kids. But I feel like those tend to turn into entitled children at some point. If the mom doesn't stop them. Which that one did seem to be doing somewhat, like... You know, she did give them the money, but she was also like... Take care of it yourself. She didn't actually come with them and go like... But yeah, there's always like a fair amount of people who think that their children are better. Which is sad, really, because, you know, we should be aiming for everyone to work together and for everyone to try to work together nicely and have a good society. And do these animals still have enough walking space? With me placing so many flowers, I sort of doubt it. Yep, it's fine. Right? Yeah, it's okay. Nope. Yes, okay, perfect. It's just like, But I think, you know, once again, it's hard to tell because there's permanent snow, so all the plants are covered, but I think it's okay. Now we're gonna go up here and we're gonna grab some bushes and use those to sort of fade out any big flower fields we've made, because obviously you know, any ground coverage needs some of these around it. In my opinion, like that's like the best combination, having trees and then putting flowers around the trees and then also putting these guys around them. We're gonna do the area in the back separately because that has stones and I'm gonna decorate that separately. Now I do believe that this is gonna reduce some walkway, but they can walk on this, I believe, so it's fine. Yeah, they can walk over it, so it's fine. You know, some plants can actually block off animals, but these, since they're just like ground coverage, I don't think they can do it. Nope. It just makes the place look a little more realistic, you know, when there's more growth than just flowers. Although flowers are cool, but no place is gonna have just flowers and no greenery. No, some bushes. Perhaps. Where am I? Where are they? There. Sage bushes. I love sage. Sage is great. And I also love the color of these bushes because if you get to see the color at some point when the snow melts, it's not this bright green, it's a, you know, more muted blue, green, mint color. And I think it's really pretty. This area over here is just a flower garden at this point. But you know, the animals can walk through it, so it's fine. Yeah, I think they're happy here. Just take a screenshot of that. Sadly, there's snow. Snow makes the screenshots a little less impressive. Because, you know, I don't have the flowers on it. Oh, I do have flowers on it, but they're all white. And just imagine this in full color, like with all of the flowers blooming. But I don't know if we're ever gonna get to see that. Yeah, those of you who've seen me build habitats before know that most of my habitats follow a pretty simple, you know, you have pretty simple basic rules. And the next part of those basic rules meant to be enforced is stones around water. Because I just find it more realistic that the area surrounding the lake isn't completely flat, because it just wouldn't be. And you know, with all the snow, it's just looking like there's a lot of things poking out of the snow, but it's still better than literally nothing poking out of the snow. So, well, just my opinion though. You know, you don't have to fill your habitats with stones. Just leave them completely bare. Nothing wrong with it, I just don't like it. I prefer the way it looks when there's some, you know, three-dimensionality to it. And stones are pretty good at that. Okay, and now that we've got our three-dimensionality, we're gonna decorate the stones. Oh, like the area surrounding the stones. For that I'm going to be using, you know, a few small bushes. Sage bushes, stuff like that. That would actually be growing in these areas, because let's be honest, there wouldn't be any huge patches of flowers sticking out everywhere. She says while she's placing patches of flowers. I stick to my words. Not. Yeah, there's moss rocks too, somewhere. Just haven't found them yet. There, which I usually just poof down around the area. Just to, you know, give it some more. You can't really see it all that well now because there's snow. But I find that when you actually have the moss rocks, it gives it a nice... You know, it's an additional element to the stones. To fade the area from... To get like a nice fade from the outside land, so to speak, to the water. But it looks best when the area has, you know, the snow has melted and there's like, you can actually take a look at the plants. Which you can't really do at the moment. But that's fine. Okay, well, let's just see if we can squeeze some more stones, just like as ground cover in here. Because the animals can still walk over them, but it's just not gonna look as two-dimensional. Which is all I'm going for, really. Two-dimensional habitats are... You know, because most of the terrains in this game are very flat. With the exception of the South American tropical map, all the maps are completely flat, so you sort of have to create your own terrain. There, now isn't that a pretty shot? Because some of the flowers aren't covered in snow, some of them are. And in here, you know, it's just like a shelter, it's fine. And people can just stand here and watch the animals. It's just like I have a light saturation filter on it, and when there's snow you just have to be so careful with the saturation to not oversaturate, because otherwise the whole thing is just going to be really, really oversaturated. Right, ivy. Definitely something we'll need. Just like any other building I build, ivy is going to be an essential element in giving it color. I don't know, I've always had a thing for ivy. It allows you to like add plants to just about any building because it's really resilient at growing, which the fact that it's resilient is sort of the problem with it. I'm trying to use... Okay, well, they're probably at the vet, so it's fine. It's very resilient. It can grow in everything. You know, like just you've got like this one wall in your garden and you want to put something on it, add ivy. I always found that to be really fascinating because, you know, usually it's sort of like a struggle sometimes to get things to grow in certain areas. I mean, of course it needs water, so that's like the one criteria for having ivy in your home, but other than that, it's so easy to work with. And, you know, you just have a nice greenhouse. Sort of gives it that fantasy vibe, right? And since this is essentially what we're going for with this, ivy it is. I'm not specifically making like a fantasy themed garden, but I feel like my buildings are just slowly turning it into that fantasy themed garden that I'm not going for. So we have to live with it now. It's just gonna be fantasy themed whether we want to or not. At least I picked a good biome to go for the fantasy theme. We could do like a Red Riding Hood section or something. Little Red Riding Hood. There we go. Now all I've got to finish is this wall. So I'm gonna work up some vines and stuff. Oh. A little more coverage up top. There we go. It actually looks like another one of my buildings. These animals all look happy. No, they're just like happy little deer. How's the sheep doing? How are the sheep doing? Aww. Hello. They're apparently very, very tired. You know, fair enough. They're allowed to be tired. And some of them I assume are out here, but yeah, they're quite hard to spot because of all the snow. And here people are buying donuts and coffee. And why is there trash in here? Stop throwing around your trash. Take your trash home, people. We don't want it here. I don't know what's so hard with not just throwing your trash random places, but apparently it's not a common thing in this game. Right, so now we've got our... Oops, sorry. Now we've got our little place for our fancy worked out, and now we're gonna do the sort of wolf den over here. Suppose that's the next thing we're gonna work on. I love the ship, you know, the ones that you can see in the distance. It's this tiny ship, yeah. Which I originally wanted to have in the polar bear habitat, but then like I'd have to do this as the polar bear habitat. I don't even know if that would be enough. Which one of them is sick? Because you're not telling me. Ah, that one. Tortoise. But she's in transit. Where is there? No, she's here. She's literally at the vet. Stop panicking. The vet's taking care of her. It's okay. I really love how you can just go into the buildings and take a look at everything. You know. Yeah. Really difficult one. What does she have? She's hungry and she has listeriosis. A Clurf, boo boo, you are a boo boo boo. Yeah. We've got sloth cleaners over here. Very important. Also, a very important x-ray of a hip. On Tidsen. I like this one though. And that's like the same for all buildings, in case you didn't know. They all have their own little interior design. Okay, how are my favorite sheep doing? Also, the only sheep available in this game. I'm for more sheep, you know? I also want a petting zoo DLC, genuinely. Because these animals would all make for great, you know, like actually just little feeding interactions. Like, you could put a feeder here and then, you know, people could interact with the animals and give them some food, and then the animals would eat that food, and then people would be happy because they just got to feed it an animal. Sorry, but this is the perfect position for screenshots, and the reindeer are just so photogenic right now. Okay, I think that's it there. So yeah, next time we're gonna do a little habitat next to this one for some wolves. And then at some point, we're gonna turn half of this lake into a polar bear habitat. The reason why I don't have as much land space is because we are going to add ice bits like this ship that they can climb onto. And, you know, that's going to take care of it. So anyways, I hope you liked the episode, and I hope I'll see you again in the next one.